Miss Tackleberry to interview her.
Hi guys.
Miss Tackleberry, what are you gonna do differently next year?
Wow, I got both of them going here. Um, well, we definitely have learned a lot having you guys for 3 years on how to start off. When I first started here 3 years ago, I was brand new to this position, so I feel a little bit more ready to go with the sixth graders coming in. One of the things that I've done differently already is I've gone to the schools to meet the incoming sixth graders so that they can start to put a name to a face, right? Like, I'm Mrs. Thackerberry, I'm your assistant principal, you know. So that's one thing that we've done differently. Another thing that we're going to do during lunch is I had you guys sit at your tables based on the last class that you were in. Do you remember that? I'm going to have them sit in just their advisory classes. And then also on the tents will be numbers. So it tells them what lanes they're going to go into for lunch. I'm also going to make a big deal about IDs, really a big deal. You have to admit, I haven't made it a huge, I mean, I try, but it hasn't been a really big deal with you guys, right? For 3 years. But really make them, important, super important. Like, you get into your lane, but if you don't have your ID, you get at the back of your class to get your lunch. So, things like that. So that we can put a little bit of importance on the on the IDs. So those are three things that I'm kind of, doing, on different for next year for the incoming sixth graders.
What's your? Do you wanna read it? What is your morning routine?
Well, my alarm goes off at 5. I'm not a morning person. Ask Miss Quintana. I hate being here early in the morning. So I get up. My alarm goes off at 5, but I don't really roll out of bed until about 5:20. I hit the snooze button, just like I'm sure a lot of you do, right? Yeah. So I get up, I roll out of bed, I get the shower going because I have an older home, so it takes a little while for the water to get hot. So I have to put it going and then shower, get myself together. My husband makes coffee in the morning for me, so I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. He'll also pour me a bowl of cereal or something like that, and I'll eat. And then I leave for work at about 6:20, 6:30 to come here.
Is the coffee good?
The coffee's really good. My husband and I like very dark, very potent coffee. Kind of need it in the morning, especially since I haven't been sleeping well because of all your guys' awards nights and signing days and your ice cream social and the field trip. And I've had nightmares almost nightly. Something's going to go wrong. So if I seem a little more tired than normal or less patient, it's because I'm not sleeping at night. So bear with me, eighth graders, bear with me.
I think you can tell Miss by the awesome board in the back. Awesome
board in the back. Yeah, the amount of stuff we got going on over there. Yes, I would agree. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
All right. Why do you hate students?
I don't hate students.
I don't know why I put that there.
You don't know why you put that there, Zyra? Why do I hate? I don't hate students.
You were just thinking about it.
That's okay. That, like Miss Arnold said, we can just have a conversation too. I will tell you that I've had students say, I hate that person, or even adults who are like, I hate that person. I'm like, that is such a strong word. It has such a lot of power behind it, right? And I, as I've gotten older and more mature, I really thought, I don't hate people. Are there people at times that I dislike? Absolutely. I mean, are there times that you just like certain people you hang out with and you're like, right? But you don't really hate anybody. In my almost 20, I'm finishing up year 23 of being in education, 18 of that as a teacher. There really are only 2 kids that I can honestly say made my life miserable that I would say I hate them. But even that, like, I think about it and I could look at it and say they probably had a rough life and I just didn't know the backstory, right? And so maybe that's why. Who knows? I never got to really figure out why they were the way that they were, like I do with a lot of you guys now in 8th grade, right? I get to know you guys. I get to figure out what's going on. What can I do to help? I don't sit just behind my computer or do any of those things. I try to get to know all 320 of you.
There's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the majority of you, I know you by name. You walk across, I say your name, I say good morning, I say whatever.
Mhm.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you have good memory.
Yes, as I get older, it's getting worse, but yes.
Why did you pick this job out of all the jobs you could have done?
Like this job here at Desert Skies.
Yeah.
Well, because I'd been in middle school for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So you all know I was a science teacher in middle school for many, many years. I actually, most of you, not maybe both of you know, but I taught science at the beginning of the year. Me and Miss Alverson did, right? We each took a class and we divided in half. I took 2 periods, she took 2 periods, and we tried to make sure you guys had some consistency until we could find Miss Wester. So I always liked being in middle school. I always liked being a teacher in middle school. I really enjoyed it. And teaching science is a lot of fun. So when it was time to become an assistant principal, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go. So I decided I would try for some place that I at least had good memories of, right? An area that I felt a little bit comfortable in, just to figure out what does this job entail? What do I have to do as an assistant principal? How is it different than being a teacher, right? There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences, right? So maybe if I could go to a place that gives me some familiarity, being in a middle school, knowing middle school kids as well as I do and things like that, that at least I would have that and I could focus on the other parts of my job.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose to come to middle school for Desert Skies. Other than that, I interviewed at a lot of that year. I interviewed at several different places. I did try for some high schools. None of them wanted me. So, but Miss Quintana did. So here I am.
You are.
Here I am.
I think that's all we have. Yeah.
No other questions?
No, I think that's it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we go back to our original question you asked me before we went on there?
How many times have you been to Disneyland?
So yeah, the girls asked me how many times I've been to Disneyland. We all know Miss Thackberry loves Disney. And I was explaining that I go with my husband about once a year. We do a lot of fun things. I've been there at Halloween, which is my favorite. So if you ever want to go, I would highly recommend going during Halloween. It is really cool.
Okay.
I've been there during Christmas. That's fun. I've been there during New Year's. It's okay. It's packed. There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
They shut down the park. Like you can't, normally you can go between the two parks. And on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, once you're in one park, you're stuck there. So you better like the park you're in. I've been there for my birthday.
Okay. And when's your birthday?
February the 8th.
Okay.
So I'm a right around Valentine's Day baby. Yeah. So what else? When we were kids, my parents would take us during the summertime to go down there. So yeah, I've been there. Most of the time, it's usually over fall break or Halloween weekend when we go. Okay. During those times, because I really like Halloween time. It's a lot of fun. It is.
What's your favorite ride over there?
That's always a hard question because I like a lot of them. So I like the Incredicoaster.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I love the well, it's a lot of fun, right? It's got all those loop-de-loops and then the twists and the turns, but at the end you get to go order a num num. Do you know what a num num is?
No.
So Jack from The Incredibles. The way you get the little, have you ever watched The Incredibles? Yeah. Okay. So Jack's the baby, right? Okay. So Jack, in order to get him to quit doing all his superhero stuff, they got to give him a cookie, and the cookies are called num nums. Oh. So at the end, when you ride, little tidbit here for y'all, when you ride the Incredicoaster, at the very end, before you do this type of thing, you will smell chocolate chip cookies in the ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so you come off the ride, and right there when you come off, after you look at your pictures, you come right off the ride, there's nice warm num nums or chocolate chip cookies. Oh, they're delicious. Oh yeah. I got lots of tidbits. We could do a whole segment on like the hidden things of Disney.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So yes, I think that one is one of my favorite rides. I love going on Pirates of the Caribbean. So when I was a little kid, one of the first scary rides that I went on was Pirates of the Caribbean. And It's a water ride, and it takes you through, and then you go down like these little hills in the water, and you get a little wet and all this stuff. But imagine being a 5-year-old and you've
Yeah.
never done that before, right? It was a little nerve wracking. Of course, my parents were like, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine," and I was fine. But it's got some really cool things and a lot of animatronics going on. Oops, sorry. And then once the movies, I don't know if you've seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movies yet with Johnny Depp. They added Johnny Depp now to the ride, so you'll see him popping out in different areas, like being sneakily and
That's cool.
yeah. So I do like the original Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. So those are my two, if I had to tell you. Notice one has something to do with food. I love food. So
What's your favorite snack over there?
that would be the churros.
The churros? Okay.
Churros are good. Mr. Watson is making me churro holders that look like lightsaber.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So next time I go, I have these 2 lightsabers I can put churros in. Just saying, it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Any other questions?
When did you grow this kind of obsession with Disney?
You can call it an obsession. It's okay. So I think it comes from my family. My parents are not from here. They were born in Portugal. And so they immigrated to the United States when they were older. They met in California, the Bay Area, Hayward, Oakland, those areas down there. They got married, had me. I was first. And then my 2 younger sisters. And so my parents were hardworking individuals, but they didn't have college degrees. They didn't have any of those type of things. And so they had to work really hard for what they had. And they wanted us to have trips. And back in those days, the cheapest way to take vacations was camping. So a lot of the times we would go down the coast of California, and sometimes our stop was Disneyland. And I think what started that was before California Adventure was made, there was a camping park that had a pool and everything else like that. And as a kid, I remember climbing up my ladder onto the top of my trailer. And this was before all the trees had grown and all that stuff. And Disney wasn't super expensive, just so we're clear. Because now it's really expensive. Yeah. I would sit on top of the trailer and you could see the castle and I'd watch the fireworks as a little kid. Aww. So that's like, to me, that's still just I still to this day, and my husband drives him nuts. I'm like, we got to go see the fireworks. It's just still a good core memory, right? We've all seen Inside Out, right? Those core memories. It's, a little kid sitting on top of a trailer and you can see everything, like the top of the Sleepy Beauty's castle, and you just are watching the fireworks just go off. I can't hear the music. But it was just enough to just have that. This is amazing. Yeah. And it's a place at my old age that I can still be a kid and act silly and be goofy and,
How many kids do you have?
So I technically have none.
Okay.
But I have 2 stepsons. I have a 23-year-old stepson and I have a 26-year-old stepson. So my 26-year-old has a little girl. So I'm a grandmother on top of it all. So I have a granddaughter who's 6 months old. So, but I technically have no kids. I decided a long time ago that the individual sitting here and the 23 years of being a teacher and being in education, that was going to be my kids, if you will. Yeah. That I was going to pour my heart and soul into that. And I was okay with it. And then I met my husband and I got 2 step boys that were still young and I helped raise and things like that. But yeah. Good. Any other questions?
No. Thank you for letting us interview you.
Of course. Anytime. You guys can come ask me questions anytime. Okay. And if you want to do a follow-up on Disney Secrets, we can do that.
We're probably going to do that.
Yeah, most likely.
So do that.
We'll be back with Miss Taco Perry. Don't know when, but soon.
Another day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.